Hey y'all, it's Sunday. I'm Jen Carson, I'm a realtor in Memphis. Today's video is not about real estate at all. I mean, there's a mindset stuff that I want to talk about, but for the most part, it's not about real estate. So if you're not interested in this, then keep scrolling. I'm driving back from, well, I'm in North Carolina now, but I'm driving back from Georgia, and I went to the Appalachian Mountains, and I just spent the last 2 days hiking. And when I say hiking, I mean like the legit version of hiking, not like if you're from Memphis hiking, where you're just like walking in nature. No, this is like 1,600 feet elevation every ascent of a mountain, which was Brasstown. I actually don't know the name of the mountain, but it was like Jack's Gap, Brasstown, Wagon Trail. Those were 3 names that I heard, so I think that's what we did. The point is, I was so scared. I signed up for this mountain. I'm doing, it's 29029. Well, 29029 is what they call it. And it's where you climb the equivalent of Mount Everest over a 36-hour period. You have 36 hours to complete the challenge. People do it quicker than that, but for the most part, you have 36 hours. Well, I had tried in September to climb Mount Tremblant in Montreal, 15 ascents, and I got to the 3rd ascent, and I got sick. And so it's like I couldn't continue. I was dizzy, ended up having to be hospitalized. It was a whole thing. And I was pissed and disappointed in myself because I was the reason why I was in that moment. It wasn't the environment. I was the reason. I had a bad ankle sprain in March, and the training started in March. So I was 2 months delayed on my training. I didn't do at all what I should have done. I mean, I had the training plan, but it was just like I did like a 1 instead of a 10, you know what I mean? So I knew, and I was petrified going into it. Like, when I tell you petrified going into it. I didn't know anyone. I knew people, I shouldn't say, I knew people doing it, but I hadn't like paired up with anybody during the training, so I was like pretty much solo on my own, and I was nervous and scared and all that stuff. So I get there, and the people that I knew, they had kind of already paired up, so they kind of obviously had been chatting beforehand or whatnot, and so I just felt isolated, and like, so being isolated, feeling alone, feeling petrified, feeling uncertain about doing something I'd never done before in a totally different country, unfamiliar surroundings, not a single thing looked familiar, like from a company perspective. Like, no gas stations looked familiar, no restaurant. I mean, I just felt like, what the hell are you doing here? So the first ascent starts, and I am in the pack of like the salmon stream swimming upstream. I am in like the race pack, and I cannot figure out how to get around the people or step aside. I'm nervous. It's dark. It's like, it starts at 6 a.m., maybe even 5 a.m. Anyway, the sun was not up. We had our headlamps on. And I was just terrified, and everyone's excited and flying up this mountain. And I'm like, what the am I doing? So I race up with them, like any rational person does. And I think to myself, no one's taking water. No one's having a nibble of something to eat. Like, I can't see anybody drinking. And the rule was every 15 minutes, have a bite of something, have a sip of something. And I'm like, how the hell do I do that? Climbing up a mountain with 2 poles in my hand. How am I supposed to reach my, like, and then walk up a mountain at like a 2,000 elevation gain type mountain? I was like, I can't. So I get up the hill. My heart rate is definitely like 160, and normal for me is like 120. So I'm like exerting exponential amounts of energy. I have way too much shit on my body. I've got like 6 pairs of shirts on. I've got the heater little packs, all stuffed around me because it was like 30 degrees when we started. I was terrified of like being freezing. I was just effed up in like 5 different kinds of ways. So I get to the top, and part of the top, you have your poles, and you're like hoisting yourself up. Like, it is like, burp, like, it's like insane. So I get to the top, immediately puke, which I'm not a puker at all. And I'm like, what the hell? So one thing leads to another. There was a savior there that gave me a Zofran. That gave me 2 more ascents because I wasn't dizzy and I wasn't puking. But yeah, that third ascent did me in for sure. And so spent 12 hours in a Montreal hospital, which I do not recommend. And just left with my tail between my legs, like really pissed. It was a very expensive mistake because it's not cheap to do this. So licked my wounds, was pissed off, kind of like went through the whole cycle of like grief and stuff, like denial, all the things, and decided, fuck that. I'm not letting this thing get me. But I was traumatized by Tremblant because people in Montreal are not like favorable to Americans, and like they really expected us to speak French, like Canadian French, and I speak like French, like high school French. Apparently that's not the same. So anyway, it just was a horrible experience all around, and I just decided that I was going to get a coach, and I was going to do it again, and I was going to have a coach help me figure out which mountain would work best for me, because I wanted to complete it. So I decided to do Stratton, and that's in Vermont, and there are 19 ascents to Stratton, not 15 like Tremblant, and 19 ascents are 1.3 miles up. So it's 1.3 miles up, and Tremblant I think was like 1.6, something like that. Anyway, and you can do other mountains too. Like there's Whistler, there's Rainier. Rainier was added this year, and anyway, Snow Basin, Steamboat. There's different mountains. And some mountains you only climb up like 8 times, and you're finished because of the distance, But the total distance, the whole point, the reason why it's called 29029 is that the distance of all the ascents based on the mountain that you're, on is 29,029 feet. And that is the summit of Everest, Mount Everest. And so Everesting these mountains is the goal. So I'll talk to you about the training that I went to in part 2.